Hello and good morning, students. So today we again come with a new topic, which is singlet and triplet state and fluorescence and phosphorescence. So first we would like to clear your concept regarding the singlet state and triplet state, why they are so called and what is their significance. And the second part we will discuss about some representative Jablonski diagram and the fluorescence and phosphorescence phenomena. So the first topic is the singlet and triplet state. So we know that most molecules have even number of electrons in the ground state, and thus the ground state all electrons are present in the spin paired condition. What does it exactly mean? Because it is not necessary that all molecules always contain the even number of electrons in the ground state. As for example, sodium in the ground state in the atomic level definitely, and we are discussing about molecules. So it is not necessary to compare, but sodium contains 11 number of electrons. Whereas if I compare about the gaseous molecule nitrogen contains 14 number of electrons. So if we arrange in the MO diagram, you can easily find, because we just in the few class before we discussed about the molecular term symbols, and at that time we told the MO energy level. And for 14 electrons, we can, if we arrange, then the all the electrons are present in the spin paired condition. You can check it. And this is for most of the molecules and present in the ground state and all in the spin paired condition. But this is not necessarily correct for all the molecules. There are certain exceptions also. As for example, oxygen molecules, it contain even number of electrons, that is 16, but still the last two electrons are not present in the same orbitals and also in the spin paired condition, because the last two electrons are present in the pi star orbitals, single. Both the pi star orbital contains one electrons, and the ground state of oxygen is not in the spin paired condition. So the quantity, now I would like to introduce a quantity, that is 2s plus 1, which is known as, basically this quantity we generally termed as spin multiplicity, where s is the total spin quantum number, which is sum of the individual spin number. The capital S is basically sum of individual spin numbers, and whatever we get, then we multiply it by 2 and plus 1. So this total quantity at that time we known as spin multiplicity of the state. So when the spin are paired condition, that means if a single orbital contains both electrons, so according to Pauli's principle, we know that then the electrons should have to be present in the spin paired condition, not in the same orbital contains two electrons having the both the spin orientation same. So it has to be paired. Okay, as shown in figure. So suppose I have demonstrated a figure, representative figure, where a stable molecule contain both the electron in the ground state in the same orbital in the spin paired condition and having the stable excited state. And at that condition, the spin multiplicity, if we would like to calculate the spin multiplicity of this state, then the up and if the upward orientation of the electron spin is generally defined by plus half, then definitely the downward spin orientation is defined by minus half. That means if I denote the plus half, the upward orientation spin as S1, which is plus half, and S2, which is basically minus half, the upward orientation of the electron spin is cancelled by the downward orientation of the spin, so that the total spin S equal to S1 plus S2 plus half and minus half. If I combine it, it becomes 0. So at that condition, the 2s plus 1, if S equal to 0, then 2s plus 1 becomes 1. Thus the spin multiplicity of the molecule is 1, and we express it by saying that the molecule is in the singlet ground state, because both the electrons are present in the ground state and in the spin paired condition. So at that condition, the spin multiplicity value is 1, and if you get the value of 1, you can say that the spin multiplicity is singlet. Now thus when by absorbing a photon of the suitable energy, that is h nu, one of the paired electron goes to the higher energy level, that is excited state. There is two possibility. Okay, I have represented both in figure B and figure C. In the figure B, one of the electron is promoted to the higher excited state, and at that condition, in the higher excited state, the electron adopted a orientation which is parallel to the ground state orientation. That means both are in the parallel spin condition. And in the second possibility, the electron which is promoted to the higher excited state is adopted a spin orientation which is just anti-parallel of the ground state electron spin. So in the spin orientation of these two electrons are either parallel or in figure B, that is parallel, and or anti-parallel, that is figure C. Okay, so in parallel case, that means for figure B case, so total spin number S equal to S1 plus S2, that means plus half, plus half, that means total equal to 1 S. So 2S plus 1 value becomes 3. Thus the spin multiplicity of the molecule is 3, and this is expressed by saying that the molecule is in the triplet state. That means if we get the value 2S plus 1, this quantity value is 1, then we define it as singlet state, and if we get the value of 3, then we can define it as triplet state. If however in the, that means in the case C, where the both the electrons have the anti-parallel spin, if the, that means the excited state electron have the anti-parallel spin with respect to the ground state electron, then what happen? Total S become S1 plus S2, that means ground state plus up and excited state minus up, it becomes again 0, and 2S plus 1 spin multiplicity value is 1. Thus the spin multiplicity of the molecule is 1, and this is expressed by saying that the molecule is in the singlet excited state. So we can say that in the ground state, for most of the molecules is present in the singlet ground state, but in the excited state there is two possibility. Either the molecule can existed in the singlet excited state, or the molecule can existed in the triplet excited state. Okay. The next topic that is very interesting, which is fluorescence and phosphorescence. I think you have already learned about this thing in the Professor Saha's class, and this discussion definitely will clear your concept in a more detailed and technical way. So let's have a look. As a result of absorption of radiation, a molecule, let's say the molecule is AB, may be excited from the ground electronic state to an excited electronic state, which may be represented by AB star. That means I am not defining right now what is singlet ground state and the excited state is what is the excited electronic state. That means whether it is a S1, T1, whatever it may be. The molecule is present in the ground state, which is presented by AB, and absorbing a which is present in AB and absorbing a suitable photon, that is energy is h nu, and promoted to the excited state. Till now I am not deciding what is the excited state. The molecule often excited to the higher singlet excited state, that means S1, S2, etc. That means initially the molecule present in the singlet ground state S0, and after absorbing suitable photon h nu, it will promoted to the any of the higher excited state, not only singlet excited state, S2, S3, S4, any of these. Okay, and after that the molecule may pass from S2 to the higher vibrational level of S1 without transfer of any energy, which is referred to as the internal conversion. So it is very easy to understand this thing with the help of this diagram. Suppose this is the potential energy electronic state of ground state, that means S0, and the these individual lines are the vibrational level, V equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7. And the first potential energy, excited potential energy, that is S1, and the just touching this line with this S1 is the T1. That means the singlet excited and the triplet excited, first singlet excited and the first triplet excited, just present in this way. And why this is so looking so why this is follows this trend, means triplet state is slightly lower in energy than singlet excited state. Why this is happen? Because we know that in the singlet state both the electrons have to be present in the same orbital. That means when they are putting in the same orbital, they have to be overcome with a huge amount of repulsion energy, and because of that the singlet excited state is always higher in energy, whereas in the triplet state we know that both the electron present in the different orbitals. That's why their repulsion energy are much less in amount than the singlet excited state. That's why the triplet excited state is slightly lower in energy than singlet excited state. And in a particular example or demonstration, I have shown that the molecule present in for most of the cases the molecule generally in the ground state present in the lowest vibrational level of the corresponding singlet ground state. That means V equal to 0, and it just if I give a particular amount of energy, that is h nu, it is instantly promote the molecule in the any of the higher singlet excited states. So in this figure I have shown it is promoted to the S2 level and the highest vibrational level of S2. And after that the molecule lose some energy, and this is the shown by very curly arrow here, and return back to the lowest vibrational level of the corresponding excited state. And these processes are generally known as VR or vibrational relaxation. How they lose energy? Because of these in this process the excited molecule colliding with the solvent molecule and lose some of its energy and returning back to the lowest vibrational level of S2. And after returning back from the lowest vibrational level of S2, the molecule undergo a conversion process and returning back any of the higher vibrational level of the corresponding S1 state. And this process is known as IC or internal conversion. So in this particular process, means the lowest vibrational level of S2 to any of the higher vibrational level of S1, the molecule doesn't lose any energy. And after that again the molecule which is present in the higher vibrational level lose some energy in the VR process and returning back to the lowest vibrational level of the S1 state, and from that it can lose a photon and returning back to the any of the vibrational level of the ground electronic state. So the photon which is ejected is known as fluorescence photon. Okay, so let's get back to the point. Transfer of energy. Okay, the molecule often excited to the higher singlet states such as S2, S3, etc. And after that the molecule may pass from S2 to the highest vibrational level of S1, which is basically highest vibrational level of S1, and without transfer of any energy, which is referred to as the internal conversion. We have already discussed these things. The molecule then revert to the ground state S0 by releasing a photon which is referred to as fluorescence. Okay, the frequency of the fluorescence radiation is lower than the absorbed radiation. That means the photon which is emitted, the frequency, if I just represent this photon as nu prime and the exciting photon as nu, then definitely nu prime is less than nu. And this is the whole process that is which is happening for fluorescence. AB in the ground state absorbing h nu amount of energy and returning present in the AB star, this is S1 state, and after that when it comes back to the ground electronic state AB S0 and releasing a photon h nu prime, then definitely nu prime is less than nu. And why this is happening? Because in the VR process it loses some amount of energy in terms of heat to the solvent molecules. Because of this losing amount of energy, the frequency of the emitted photon is always lower than the absorption photon. These are the IC is internal conversion and VR is vibrational relaxation, and ISC that will come later in terms of, in case of phosphorescence, is inter-system crossing. And the phenomena of fluorescence occurs within a time scale of 10 to the power minus 10 to 10 to the power minus 8 second, and on an average the lifetime of fluorescence is 10 to the power minus 9 second or nanosecond range. The next topic is the phosphorescence. So okay, so after excitation, when the molecule returns back to the any of the vibrational level of S1 state, that means the molecule initially excited to S2 state and in the highest vibrational level of S2 state, and after that it undergoes some VR and reach the lowest vibrational level of S2 state, and from then it undergo internal conversion and reach any of the higher vibrational level of the S1 state. And after that, when it returns back by VR process in the lowest vibrational level of S1 state, if any of these vibrational level of the S1 state match the any of the vibrational level of the corresponding T1 state, then there is a chance that the molecule can undergo its spin multiplicity change from singlet to triplet. But this only depends on the structure of the molecule also, because the molecules which generally generally exhibit fluorescence is not a good candidate for phosphorescence, because for phosphorescence to exhibit there should be a restriction in the movement. That means I'd like to mean that if the molecule is have rigid structure, not fluxional structure, because the small molecules can lose its energy easily with collision with the solvent molecules and by ejecting photon and come back to the ground state easily. But for large molecule or restricted molecules, just like for you can say anthracene, phenanthrene, pyrene, this type of molecule means rigid structure, they can't lose its energy simply by colliding with the solvent molecules because of this restricted movement. So what, and at the same time, because of their rigid structure, there is a huge possibility of coupling of its orbital moment and spin moment. And because of this coupling, the selection rule for this spin transition, which is basically delta S equal to 0, is relaxed. And at that time, what happened, the molecule can change its spin multiplicity from singlet to triplet and goes to the corresponding T1 state. So at that condition, I would like to show you the figure again. Look, when the molecule returning back from the lowest vibrational level of the S2 state to any of the vibrational level of the S1 state, and when it undergo here, so at that condition, these fifth level, I think this level 6th match with the level 6 vibrational level match with the singlet and triplet state same. So at that condition, the molecule can undergo a inter-system crossing process. That means it's change its spin multiplicity from singlet to triplet and come back to the 6th level of the corresponding T1 state. And from then, the molecule again lose some energy in VR process and reach the lowest vibrational level of the T1 state. And from there, it lose a photon and come back to the any of the vibrational level of the ground state, that is singlet state. So again, go back to the point. Okay. After excitation, when the molecule returning back to the any of the vibration level of the S1 state, and if the corresponding T1 state have vibrational level which matching any of the vibration level of the S1 level, that is, I just discussed this thing. At the same time, if the molecular geometry allow to spin moment and orbital moment to couple, then the molecule in the S1 state change its spin state from singlet, that is 1, to triplet, that is basically 3, and goes to the corresponding T1 state. The process is called as inter-system crossing, or ISC, inter-system crossing. And the transition from the triplet excited state T1 to the corresponding ground state is rather slow, since it is a forbidden transition. Why it is called forbidden transition? Because I have just discussed that the spin selection rule for this type of transition is delta S equal to 0. That means the molecule should have to be go from singlet to singlet or triplet to triplet. But generally what happened, in the case of phosphorescence, the molecule undergo a transition from the triplet state, lowest triplet state, that is T1 state, to S0 state. So that's why it is called a spin forbidden transition. But in spite of that, this is happening because of the geometry of the molecule permit the spin moment and orbital moment to couple and relax the spin selection rule delta S equal to 0 because of this. And at the same time, I would like to mention one point which I have even not written in this note, that generally a molecule which can exhibit phosphorescence, it can't excite it directly to the corresponding or the highest triplet state. Means if I like to excite a molecule from the T3 state and then returning back to the T1 state and undergo phosphorescence, this will not happen directly, because the molecule should have to be go any of the highest singlet state, any of the, it not only S1, S2, S3, S4, any of the, and then it can returning back to the ground singlet state, and at the time it undergoes some ISC process and come back to the corresponding singlet state. So this is the process. So to exhibit a molecule phosphorescence, it has to undergo some ISC process. Without ISC, a phosphorescence can't happen, and because of this ISC, it needs some time. That's why it's a slow process. The transition from the triplet excited state, that is T1, to the ground state S0 is rather slow, since it is a forbidden transition, and the emission of the radiation in this process is called phosphorescence. The lifetime of the phosphorescence is of the order of 10 to the power minus 6 second to 10 to the power minus 3 second. That means microsecond to millisecond range, or sometimes even slower than millisecond. That means even up to certain second also is observed. That is few seconds also. And now the third point, which is very interesting, is the comparison between the fluorescence and phosphorescence. So fluorescence is an instantaneous process, just like switch on switch off process. You just switch on the your exciting light source, the molecule undergo fluorescence, and when you just switch off your excitation source, the fluorescence phenomena has gone. So when the excitation source is off, fluorescence is also stopped instantly, while phosphorescence is a slow process such that the light absorbed is given out slowly and even long after the removal of the light source. That means you just switch off your light source, and then you find that after up to certain second, you can observe the phosphorescence phenomena. That's why it's called slow process. So if I just represent the phosphorescence phenomena, this is the molecule AB. After exciting with the suitable wavelength light H nu, it can promoted to the S1 state, that is AB star, and undergo ISC. It comes to the AB star in the triplet state, and from the AB star triplet state, it come back to the ground state S0 and plus some photon H nu double prime. Okay, so definitely the H nu double prime, the frequency of the emitted photon, phosphorescence photon, is lower than the excitation source nu. And here in this connection, I would like to mention one thing. If I excite a molecule with a certain frequency nu, and for fluorescence, if it's the frequency of the emitted photon of the fluorescence is H nu single prime, and for emission frequency of the phosphorescence photon is H nu double prime, then definitely the energy, the frequency follow the order nu is less than nu prime is less than nu double prime. Okay, so here I can write basically nu is the excitation source is less than nu prime is less than nu double prime. This is the order of the frequency of this. This is the excitation source frequency, this is the fluorescence frequency, and this is the phosphorescence frequency. And if I talk in terms of the wavelength, then I can say whatever wavelength I used for excitation, fluorescence come with respect to at red region or higher wavelength, and phosphorescence come even higher than the fluorescence. Okay, so both fluorescence and phosphorescence radiations are of shorter frequency than the excitation source, that I have already discussed these things. And this is because some part of the light energy absorbed by the molecule is dissipated in the form of heat. That means during VR process, vibrational relaxation process, during the non-radiative transition. So this is the total discussion regarding your technical point, also the fluorescence and phosphorescence. Okay, thank you.